Has it ever happened to you that you walk into a high-end boutique or a high-end watch shop and you feel kind of embarrassed of what you're wearing? First of all, you shouldn't. Who cares about what others think? You should own it. And second of all, in here I am going to present to you 7 watches that are absolute icons that no snob ever can look down upon, and that are absolutely filled with history and value from themselves, and that are worth less than $500. Hi, I'm Olivier, and for those who are new here on this channel, I present great watches of great quality at affordable prices, in case you couldn't tell by the intro. So if that is your kind of watch, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I present to you the best deals around these watches all the time, so make sure to subscribe not to miss them. And of course, I'm going to be leaving links to the watches that I find available at the best prices. But let's go to the watches right away. No particular order here, but we are going to leave the most controversial for last. First of all, one that is going to be quite easy, it is the Hamilton Khaki. And we are talking the mechanical Hamilton Khaki here. And to go into budget, I had to go gray market. So I have to go to Joma Shop, where you can find the beautiful Hamilton Khaki mechanical 38mm for only $433. This watch is really amazing. 38mm in diameter, just about 9mm in height, mechanical movement, and that hand wind is just amazing. 80 hours of power reserve, sapphire crystal, everything you can want from a watch like this. Only caveat is that it just has 50 meters of water resistance, but that should be plenty enough. Pretty much everything but swimming. The Hamilton Khaki is a legend and has been for decades. It is Swiss made, and it is a watch that anybody on pretty much any watch circle can recognize and give a nod to, because this legendary watch with a legendary past, that is important because it is a link between the entry level and the higher tiers. So everybody, from the people who enjoy entry level watches to the people who enjoy high horology, do give a nod to the Hamilton Khaki. It is, I believe, the least controversial of this selection. The second one will be a little bit more troublesome because it is a watch that is not made anymore, but you can still find. It is, of course, the famous Seiko SKX. The SKX was a legend in the watch world, and it only came at around $200 to $250. It was an excellent watch, able to withstand all kinds of punishment. A mythical watch that was in production for over 20 years, from 1996 to 2019, that was beloved by so many Seiko fans, and according to me, that helped to elevate and to endear the Seiko brand in the heart of the entry-level watch lovers that we are. And believe it or not, you can still find the Seiko SKX. Pops up here and there. Of course, it will now run more than $500, but you can still find it on eBay at less than that. So that is why I'm allowing it on this list, because it is a legend. You can still find it, of course, used, but at really good prices. Who hasn't heard about this watch, and who hasn't a weak spot for this little simple diver's watch that will remain forever as one of the staples of the entry-level Japanese dive watches. The following watch is an absolute legend, and it only costs $15. And I am certain that you know which one I am talking about. I'm talking to you, of course, about the F91w. This little Casio is a watch that was introduced in 1989 and that is still produced to this day, and that is produced at a rhythm of 3 million watches per year. So this watch is absolutely ubiquitous, and that is why it is so cool, because anybody in the world, or pretty much, afford to have this watch. You can see it anywhere, from the wrist of unlucky terrorists to the wrist of future presidents. This watch is everywhere, and it is so important because it is the linking bond of the watch world that transcends economic circles, social circles, nationalities, countries, everything. This little watch is the piece that can link the watch world together. either. Absolutely no one can tell you that the F91w isn't an icon and doesn't deserve a place among the very best icons of horology. Let's go to another one that is quite easy. Let's go to the Glycine Airman. I know that you all believe that the first GMT watch was created by Rolex. Of course, Rolex is great for making people believe their first things or that they invented things that they never invented, but the Glycine Airman was the first true GMT watch before the Rolex GMT Master. It came in 1953 when the GMT Master came out in 1954. It is of course much less well known than its much more expensive counterpart. However, Glycine is a brand that has been there from the early 20th century, that has been recently bought over by Invicta of all watchmakers, but the heritage is still there. And during the years they have made many different models, and to go into budget I will have to propose to you a version that is a little bit less iconic with certainly a GMT movement, and that is great. But if you're willing to go just a little bit over budget at 529, you can go ahead and get pretty much the exact same watch, just a little bit bigger, to the original one from 1953. This is going to be the Airman Vintage Noon at 40mm that will make a full rotation in 24 hours instead of 12 hours, just like the original, and that, because of the bezel insert, will help you calculate a second time zone. A very cool watch with a very cool feature that you do not see all the time. Next on the list is the rival of the SKX. This is the Citizen Promaster NY0040, and this watch was the rival of the SKX. It is a little bit smaller, at just 41mm in diameter, a little bit thinner at just under 13, but just as iconic, maybe a little bit less to be honest, but it is still being made. The movement has been updated. And why is it so iconic? Because this watch was adopted by the Marina Militare, so the Italian Navy basically, from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. And those are some really great credentials. Remember the Tudors of the 70s and 80s adopted by the French Navy? That gives layers of nobility to a watch. And this watch costs just around $200 to $250 and is an ISO diver. So you really cannot go wrong with the Citizen N0040. The next watch of the selection is also a legend of watchmaking, and it is of course the Casio Gshock Square. I am calling it the Square because there's many variations of this one, but it's based on the original model created in 1983. Ever since, this watch has been a staple of what you want from a watch that has to be tough, reliable, durable, and that you can do pretty much anything with. Some other brands have tried to follow it, none has been able to copy it. And this watch has now an absolute iconic status and has actually created almost a whole new brand within the brand, which is Gshock, and that is beloved by anybody. Anyone from any circle will tell you that there's a circumstance when they will put a Gshock on. I don't know if they own Pateks or whatever. There is a time in life that they will put a Gshock on to get stuff done, and that is why they respect this watch at any circle. And also pretty much anybody can own this watch because for everything it gives you, a lot of functionality, great luminescence, and of course great resistance and water resistance also. You can even take this thing diving. It only costs $40. And the last and final watch of the selection, the most controversial one of course, I believe, is the Seagull 1963. I love this little thing. Maybe you don't even know about it. It is a Chinese watch, which is its biggest sin, I believe, but it is a watch whose movement was based on the Venus 175. So it is a Chinese movement, and the story is very interesting. When the new Chinese Democratic Republic was starting, they wanted to equip their pilots with watches, so they went ahead and imported the license for the Venus 175, which was a chronograph from the 1940s, I believe. Steeldive. Not only that, but they also imported the machines to make the watch. And the watch was made at around 3,000 to 4,000 units in 1963 and given to some of the pilots of the Chinese Air Force. Fast forward to the future, to the 2010s, some Chinese companies, not Seagull, but some other Chinese companies saw the potential of reviving this watch, and that is exactly what they did with the great success that we know now. Especially because this watch is not only aesthetic from the front, it is pretty nicely made with those great numerals. It is a mechanical chronograph, columned wheel with a vertical clutch, and when you flip it, you understand the beauty of it all. The ones with the transparent caseback are actually not made by Seagull themselves. Seagull, seen the potential of what was happening, started to make their own watches, and you will find those much more expensive. They're like $600, and you cannot even see the caseback. Closed it like the original ones, but I believe that the beauty of these watches is seeing them, and that is why with these little versions costing only about $120 to $130, you can see the back, and that is really nice. A lot of people can and will criticize this watch because it is Chinese made, of course, because it doesn't go to the high standards of finishing of the movement than some European companies will go to, but it only costs $100, comes from a very well-known Swiss movement, and you get a mechanical chronograph, only $120. Need I say more? I hope that this selection was useful for you. If it was, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like these selections, I'm going to leave you here with watches that are absolutely a match for some other very iconic and expensive watches, and I'm going to leave you here with watches that you should absolutely avoid. Thank you very much, and I'll be seeing you very soon on those videos. Goodbye.